Everybody will pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
To the
America.
flag of the United
States of America.
America. Under one side, we
Okay.
trust.
I guess we need to all
so-
start together.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
I pledge allegiance
To the
To
flag.
the flag.
to the flag, one nation.
Under God, indivisible.
Under God.
Okay,
Justice for all.
Okay,
we'll just have to nominate one person to do it next time, so.
okay,
We'll let you do it next time, David.
okay.
Let's do the roll call of members. Arizona Jenkins. Commissioner Mariella Smith. Carmen LeBeau.
I'm here.
Gloria Mills.
Here, present.
Scott Clark.
Here.
Karen Levy.
Samantha Welty for Karen Lee.
Raquel Poncho.
Present.
David Bean.
Present.
All righty.
This is Commissioner Mariella Smith. I'm present.
Thank you. Mary Alice Smith.
Good saying. Everybody should have got a copy of the minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before you talk, you might be, let's not get everybody talking all at once. So if you're not speaking at the time, please mute your buttons.
Thank you. That eliminated a lot of the feedback. Somebody's still on.
We don't have quorum for the minutes, so we can do them.
We'll pass
approve them
till next time.
Okay. Since we don't have a quorum for the minutes to be approved, we will do that at the next meeting. Welcome. I will now call this public hearing to order. I hereby open the public hearing this afternoon on the fiscal year 2022 Florida Department of Transportation funding under the Federal Transit Administration Section 5310 Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Program. In order to apply for funding under this program, HART is required to conduct a public hearing to gather public input. This public hearing was duly advertised on November 8th and 11th, 2020 in the Tampa Bay Times legal section. It was also advertised on the HART website and social media beginning November 5th, 2020. The public hearing will be conducted as follows. 1. HART staff will make a brief presentation about the application process and project request. 2. I will then open the floor for citizens' comments regarding the projects presented. Anyone who wishes to speak must sign up at the back of the room and identify themselves. In order to hear from everyone who wishes to speak, speaker comments are limited to 3 minutes. 3, after the citizens' comments, the public hearing will be closed. Staff will now make a brief presentation. Greg Bracken.
This is Greg Bracken, Director of Ops Support, ADA Officer for HART. Every year we come to you with this grant application for the 5310 funding, and just a brief overlay of what it entails. HART is requesting capital funds to purchase 10 paratransit vehicles that will help support our HART Plus services and provide a reliable fleet. And we're also requesting funds to help support the ticket voucher program that we currently operate. And in order to receive these funds, FTA and FDOT requires applicants to provide an opportunity to hold a public hearing in order to give individuals and/or groups an opportunity to present their views or comments regarding the HART's proposed grant application. As Ms. Seidel previously stated, it was publicly noticed, and it went out in the many local outlets, neighborhood association newsletters, and various other media outlets that we have at our resources. The FTA 53 program purpose, the program is intended to improve mobility for seniors and individuals with disabilities by removing barriers to transportation services and expanding transportation mobility options. The 5310 grant is an enhanced mobility of the seniors and individuals with disabilities. It is administered by the federal U.S. Department of Transportation, and then it comes down to the Florida Department of Transportation as the designated recipient, and then it is dispersed among the sub-recipients, which agencies like us, other public agencies, the CTCs, and private nonprofits. Funding for the FTA Section 5310 is a competitive application process administered through the FDOT. Applications are ranked and prioritized. Capital investments is which the vans fall under. For 10 vans, that'd be a total of $850,000 that we're requesting. HART would pay 10%, FDOT would pay 10%, and FTA would pay the remaining 80%. On the operating funds request, $500,000 for HART taxi voucher program. HART would be required to pay 50% of that, and FTA through FDOT would pay the remaining 50%. Our proposal is to purchase 10 paratransit vans. They are estimated at $85,000 apiece. These purchases are done through the TRIPS program, which is the Transit Research Inspection Procurement Services. It's a contract, and it's administered and managed by the USF Center for Urban Transportation, commonly known as Cutter. The HART Plus Taxi Voucher Service, HART implemented this program back in 2016. It provides same-day service to the patrons who qualify for HART Plus service under this program. In FY 2000, we provided 65,684 trips under this program. The program cost HART approximately $1.3 million a year to operate, and our current provider is Yellow Cab of Tampa. That concludes the briefing by me, and we're open for comments that anybody from the general public may have. And I understand there are no call-in public comments, and we have, I don't know if we have any in-house here from our members or not, but we'll go to that next, Gloria. Sandra.
This concludes the public hearing. We now have a presentation, 2021 service changes. Ms. Nicole McCleary. Is she here?
Excuse me, this is Commissioner Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
I raised my hand. I don't know if you all are able to see hand raising in the WebEx.
No, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay. Just a question about the thing I heard about the public hearing. I was not able to, I don't think I had any information about that public hearing until I just found an email that was sent this morning at 11. I heard you say that there's 10 paratransit vans being purchased in the next year?
It's a request. It's a request from FDOT to grant us monies from that program, and our request is for 10, but we will see. It's a competitive bid process, and we'll see how much we are awarded but our request was for funding for 10 additional vans.
Paratransit vans?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And they would be replacement vans for our fleet that is reached its life expectancy. So it's a replacement vehicle.
Okay, just to put this on the record, you know, I did request that our county budget for next year include additional funding for 2 more paratransit vans.
Yes, ma'am. We have currently 92 paratransit vehicles in our fleet. We already have a order for 43 replacement vehicles already in the queue, and they are starting to arrive. And this will just help supplement our replacement value, our replacement of those vehicles that have reached life expectancy.
Great, thank you.
Nicole, are you on the line?
I am.
I believe Danielle's bringing up your presentation, so you're ready to go.
Great. Good afternoon. I'm the Commissioner with HART today.
Nicole, you'll have to get close. Nicole, you'll have to get closer to your mic. We cannot hear you.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Is this better?
That's better.
Okay, great. So I'll start again. Good afternoon. I'm Nicole McCleary. I'm a senior planner with HART. Today I'm going to go over the 2021 service modifications that were approved by our board on November 2nd. Next slide, please. So today we'll talk about a little bit about the background of the goals and the timeline of the service modification. We'll go over the changes that will take place in January route by route, as well as talking a little bit about our public input and our outreach efforts and what we heard, and give you some time for some questions and answers. Next slide, please. All right, so when we're talking about the background, we were looking at where is HART today, why did we look at service modifications for 2021? So next slide, okay, right here, don't change it, Danielle. So we had 3 goals for these service modifications. Our first goal was really to serve the whole county as best as possible. We were able to look at which routes were the most and least productive before the pandemic, and then we were able to compare them to which routes were being used the most during the pandemic since March. We also wanted to preserve as much service as possible, service coverage as possible, and best serve the community's needs. We also wanted to be efficient with our limited resources and continue to focus on safety. We examined what was working, where was the demand, where we could improve, and this was kind of based on how our entire county has changed. So we also wanted to address our long-term financial stability based on the funding of the agency. Next slide, please. Okay, so when we look at the background, we had a comprehensive operations analysis. We had some results in June of 2020. So we haven't fully completed our COA, but we did get some results on ridership and what was working and what could be improved. So that was done in June of 2020. In July of 2020, we went to our board and we got approval for outreach. So we had 6 weeks of public outreach, which included a public hearing. And then we went back to our board in November, and these service changes were approved. So the changes will be effective in January, and we are currently looking at January 24th to start the new service. Next slide, please. Okay, so I will go ahead and share with you the changes to the bus routes. Next slide, please. So starting with the university area, we're planning to add service into USF with Route 5 and Route 48. So the USF Bull Runner, it only serves USF and it's only for students. So this will allow people working on campus to be able to move around campus using transit service. Currently, Route 5 goes on Fowler Avenue. So with the proposed change, with the change coming in January, Route 5 will go on Spectrum Boulevard between McKinley Drive and Brisbee Downs, and then the rest of the route will stay the same. For Route 48, it goes on Fletcher, and then Route 48 will go on Holly Drive instead between 50th Street and UATC. Route 6 can still be used to reach those stops between Fletcher Avenue. Next slide, please. Okay. So addressing what we heard from the community, we moved to restore service north of Fletcher to serve areas like UADC, the senior residence Lansdowne, and the student residence Campus Lodge. So we developed this new route, 44. The new route is a one-way loop and it would run every hour. Next slide, please. To improve connections and travel times going to Westshore and to help those traveling north of Fletcher, Route 45 will provide the full connection between Westshore and UATC as a one-seat trip. Route 42 will be a one-way loop and make it easier for those trying to get from UATC to north of Fletcher. So this would remove both routes from the Yukon Transfer Center in order to improve travel time. So transfers between Route 16 would happen at North Boulevard and Waters. Next slide, please. So we currently have the HART Flex in Northdale on Dale Marbury, and that runs every hour, but we will be removing it, and we will replace it with the fixed route part of Route 33. So Route 33 would be extended north of Fletcher to St. Joseph's Hospital along Dale Marbury. We would also add a new one-way loop from Van Dyke Road to Calusa Trace Boulevard. Currently, Route 33 runs every 30 minutes. The frequency will decrease to 60 minutes on weekdays. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So this change, we're hoping will improve connections to the town and country area. Currently, to get between town and country and downtown, riders have to transfer buses. So what we have, so this change will really assist with that, making it a one-seat ride. So Route 30 and 35 will be combined into a continuous route that restores that one-seat ride from Marion Transit Center to the Northwest Transit Center. So also to improve frequency during the weekends, Route 30 would not stop at Social Security or the McDonald Train Center, since those offices are closed. Next slide, please. So Route 8 is a pretty long route. It actually goes from Brandon Mall through Progress Village to downtown. So we are making a few changes to this route. In Ybor, the route would shift to serve 4th Avenue instead of 7th. One of the reasons why we proposed this was that it's frequently put on 4th because of detours due to construction and events along 7th and 7th Avenue. So often this route is delayed, which then riders often miss their transfers. So we think that moving it to 4th Avenue will improve service. We will also shift the route to Kennedy and Jackson between Channelside Drive and Marion Transit Way. So this actually shortens the route and improves the travel time between Marion Transit Center and Brandon. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So we'll also make some changes to Route 9. It will take over actually most of what Route 8 is doing currently. So it will continue to serve Amelie Arena, the Convention Center, and the rest of South Downtown. So currently Route 9 turns on 7th Avenue and Nebraska Avenue to Cass Street. So because Route 12 does the exact same thing, and we don't want to have duplication of services, Route 9 will continue south on Muccio Parkway to Channelside Drive and Meridian Avenue, and then on to the Marion Transitway. So this gives a really good connection that doesn't currently exist between the USF campuses from the university area straight to downtown. Next slide, please. So there'll be a small change in the 360 LX downtown. So instead of going on Florida and Tampa Street, this would actually serve on Marion Transit Way as it comes to Marion Transit Center. So we're hoping that it would avoid traffic delays. Next slide, please. So in the Brandon area, the 30A currently travels from Net Park Transfer Center and ends in Mango. We've heard a lot from our riders that they would like to see the service expanded. And so that's what we are going to be doing. So the Route 38 will extend south of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard to Weston Brandon Mall using Parsons Avenue and Oakfield Drive. So the Route 38 would not directly serve the Mango Walmart, and additional stops will need to be added to MLK Boulevard. So the HART Flex for Brandon will be removed. However, the extension of the Route 38 will serve those destinations on Oakfield Drive, such as the hospital. It also will provide a good connection to East Tampa and Brandon. Okay. So Route 14. Oh, sorry. Yes. Next slide. So Route 14, it currently does a loop on Swan, and the change that will happen in January will extend Route 14 south of Swan Avenue to Britton Plaza Transfer Center.
Oh.
So this will create another connection within the HART network to other routes. Next slide, please. So in West Tampa, Route 7 will restore service to Main Street between North Boulevard and Howard and Armenia Avenues. It will no longer serve all of North Boulevard. So this was one of our lowest ridership corridors, that area in North Boulevard that we're no longer serving. So this route would allow us to serve the many businesses along the historic Main Street of West Tampa. It will also serve the West River redevelopment, which includes some affordable housing. And this shift from Main Street kind of will allow us to meet greater demand and provide better connections. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so our 60LX would no longer be in service, but we will be adding a new route, which is Route 10, and this is going to serve between MTC and the airport using Cypress Street. Okay, so this would run every 30 minutes, and this can also be used as an alternative for Route 275, which has been shortened. Okay, next slide, please.
Can we ask a question?
Sure.
What is MCC? I'm sorry. I'm trying to follow the bus routes for
Sure.
Route 10.
MTC is Marion Transit Center.
Oh, okay.
Danielle, could you go back to the previous slide?
Thank you.
Yes. So currently, the 60LX would go out to the airport. So now we are creating the new Route 10 because we will no longer have the 60LX. And 10 will go out to the airport using Cypress Street and run every 30 minutes. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Next slide, please. Okay. So Route 275LS would be shortened. So it would actually go directly from Wiregrass Park and Ride down to MTC, which is the Marion Transit Center. Route 275 is one of HART's longest routes, and it was running from New Tampa all the way to the airport. So it was requiring a lot of resources to operate, and what we've seen is that 50% of the ridership occurs between Wiregrass Park and Ride and UATC. So initially, we had proposed to just have the route going from Wiregrass Park and Ride to UATC. We brought that to the public. After hearing feedback from the public, we've changed that to have Route 275 run from Wiregrass to UATC to MTC on the weekdays. So then on the weekends, it would only serve New Tampa and the university area. So it would be a shortened route on the weekdays. On the weekends, my apologies. Next slide, please. So here is some of the additional changes to the service modifications. Route 6 and 34, they're going to go from a frequency of 15 to 20 minutes on weekdays. Route 46 in Brandon will go from a 30-minute frequency to 60 minutes. The 24LX, we are reducing the frequency from 5 trips to 3 trips in both the AM and PM. The 25LX, there's just a minor schedule change. The 20X and the 75LX would be removed. We will be removing South Tampa, North Dale, Brandon, HART Flex. However, those will be partially replaced by fixed route service, with the exception of the Town and Country. So below that, you see new revisions, and these were things that, from feedback from the public during our public outreach, we decided either not to change or make minor changes. So for instance, routes 1 and 400, there's going to be no change. So the frequency would remain at 15 minutes. We were initially proposing 20-minute changes. For routes 9 and 16, there are just minor route changes. And then the HART Flex, South County, there's no change, and it will remain in service. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide just shows you the service modifications. Again, we went through most of these in the previous slides. So it's just kind of a summary. Next slide, please. So this is the system map, what it'll look like in January 2021 based on these service changes and modifications. Let me see if I can share with you. So the dark green is 15-minute service. The lighter green is 20-minute service. Blue, 30-minute service. Purple, 60-minute service. And then the purple with the dashes is 60-minute LX service. So just so you know. Okay. And then the orange is the peak service for LX only. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm just going to share with you a little bit about our public input and the public outreach. So we went out into the community and we really did a lot of work to try and get the word out and try and get as much feedback as we possibly could about these service changes. Next slide, please. So we offered multiple ways for people to provide comments. They could do it both physically and digitally. We created a special website with a simple name, HART Service Input, that had all our information, and we also created a survey. So anyone could call our customer service phone number to leave a comment or send us an email or mail a letter. Next slide, please. So in our first phase of outreach, that was from mid-August to mid-September, was about going to specific areas with direct impact in order to get initial feedback. And then this also helped us to weed out any adjustments needed and to get input on the routes with different scenarios. So this included 3 town hall meetings in English and then 3 in Spanish on different days. And then the HART staff also was at transit centers at different peak times. We had flyers in Spanish and in English available online and at the transit centers. Next slide, please. So for phase 2, we evaluated what we heard, and then we made some changes to the proposals based on those on that feedback. We also had some more virtual town hall meetings, both in English and Spanish. We had 1 each in English and Spanish. And those had a call-in option, so you didn't need internet access to listen to the information or provide input. Next slide, please. Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I lost my spot. Okay, so our service team had great, awesome marketing efforts from our communication and our marketing team. They did a lot of different things. We definitely got some airplay on the radio. We got we did social media posts. We did press releases, really in anticipation to get as much feedback as possible and also to get the word out to let people know what was going on. So we had radio spots in Spanish, radio interviews as well, and a newsletter that went out to over 9,000 recipients. Next slide, please. Getting internal feedback was also very important to us. We wanted to talk to our operators. They're the ones that are on the road. We wanted to make sure that what we were proposing would actually work. Could they make those turns? What were issues with some of the routes that identified, and how could we improve them? We did that through a number of information sessions as well as question-answer periods, and they also had a specified email address that they could email us with ideas and suggestions as well as comments on the proposed changes. Okay. Next slide, please. So overall, we received 123 comments. We reached over 1,300 people. We had 8 virtual town halls. We had over 1,300 YouTube streams. And then our feedback that we received was overall, I would say it was overall well received, the changes that we were making. Next slide, please. Okay, so I guess I can open the floor up now to any questions that you may have.
Yeah, this is Arizona. The Route 8. Do you know there's no sidewalks on 4th?
Arizona is making a statement that, are you aware that there are no sidewalks on 4th Avenue on the Route 8 change? Arizona is making a comment, are you aware there are no sidewalks on 4th Avenue where you're relocating the Route 8?
So no, I was not. However, we will go out and look at that area again. I did not, I know that our service development staff did go out to look at all of the routes.
Hey, Nicole.
Yes,
Hey, Dan Rodriguez here, PMO.
yes.
Just want to let you know that we did go out with the service development group. Arizona, just so you know, the stops on 4th Avenue are actually the old 46 stops, and they are ADA compliant. They do connect to the sidewalks that are in the area. There are some blocks, yes, that don't have sidewalk connectivity between the blocks, but where the stops are will be ADA compliant, and they will connect to pretty much whatever it's in the general area as your trip generator.
Okay, you need to have the lift be able to come down where you can get on and off.
Correct, yeah. At those stops, it is an elevated pad. They're not very big pads because we don't have any shelters on 4th. But there are elevated pads. Should be able to get the ramps with no problem. No problem there. We even got with the city to try to help us with some of the parking spaces that were kind of close to the bus stops, and we had them moved and changed. So there'll be some striping going on out there on 4th to help us keep cars from parking near the bus stop. That way the bus can get nice and close to the sidewalk and let people out as they need to.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Gloria?
To go back to the Route 14 and Route 19, I looked when I received an email, that was not changed. So my question is, Route 14 and Route 19 right now go to Redden Plaza on Dale Mabry. Is there going to be a route difference in the 19 and the 14? How is the 14 traveling to Redden Plaza?
Okay, so how's the 14 traveling? So it is going to go south on Howard Avenue to McDill Avenue, and then to Euclid to get to Britton Plaza.
Okay.
So it's going to do a loop.
Okay, no, that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
This is Sandra. On the new Route 38 part, is there going to be a stop at the Social Security office?
I will have to check that and get back with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said that Route 14 is going to be going down Martin Luther King? Is that what you did?
Which one?
Route 14.
Oh, did you say Route 14 is going down Martin Luther King?
No, I don't think so.
No, Route 14 will not go down Martin Luther King.
It'll go down where?
Could you go over that one again, Nicole, where it's going down?
Which one, 38 or 14?
14.
Armenia it'll be going up to Line Ball, and it cuts across to Florida on Line Ball now.
And you do
Right.
know that the heavier,
The 14 didn't go down MLK before.
no, you do realize that Route 14 is gonna be very, more busy when they go down, the new route. Are you gonna be using the same minibus? Or are you gonna get a bigger bus to go down there?
We are all 40-foot buses.
Well, you know,
Yep, we have a couple of the trolley buses left, but those are set for disposal. Our entire fleet is 40-foot buses.
so you get rid of the bus that had the two wheelchairs on the thing, that?
Now, our paratransit vehicles,
No,
you talk about bus.
but,
We are at 2 wheelchair positions on every bus, yes, sir.
yeah, I mean, the one that you used to have on the same side, one behind the other.
No, we don't have any of those anymore. They're on, one on each side.
I was about to say, I wonder what,
Yeah, we've got rid of the side, front and back, behind each other, many years ago. We haven't had any of those for quite a while.
okay.
Okay? I'm giving back my old history now, Arizona.
Were there any other questions for me?
I do have one. This is Sam Gwaltney from McDonald Training Center. I just want to make sure that my notes are correct. For, I think it was 33, the route that was changing, that was not going to stop in front of McDonald Training Center because it was days that we were, oh, that's not the right one. I got the number wrong, I'm sorry. Because we were not open. I just want to make sure that was just on the weekend, right?
Yes, that's just on the weekend.
Okay. Will the other route that is going to the airport via Cypress, will that stop on Cypress near us as well, or was that going the other way?
Let me pull it up. Can you pull up, slide 18, Danielle? Cypress. It looks like it will.
No, it's gonna go across Cypress and turn right on Westshore Boulevard. They're on further down.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So will there be anybody going to, McDonald Training?
Not on the weekends.
Oh, we can,
Not on the weekends.
so you need to go down to the Social Security office, and you can't do it.
Monday through Friday. Yes, sir. They're not open on the weekends either. They're government.
They do have
Yeah.
a little beach area there.
Any other questions? Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you for your time.
Next order of business is the chairman's report. Since we've all been sort of confined to home, I haven't been able to get out a whole lot, but the last couple of weeks I have been able to get back out on the buses. I will say that especially the newer drivers are not fastening the wheelchair tie downs very tightly, and they do not know how to use the seat belts. I'm also seeing, again, a lot of walkers that aren't folded up and full grocery carts in the aisle. I also encountered the other day a bus, it was one of the older buses, that the ramp was broken. When I pointed this out to the driver, she said, well, don't you want to get on anyway? If it's already broken, I'm not going to get on. So that one, really they need to be looking every morning before they, leave the grounds, whether these ramps are in order or they're not broken. Also, the thing that I've noticed the greater amount is when I ring the bell, these new drivers don't understand the difference between the regular bell for the regular passengers and for the wheelchairs. So they need to bone up on that. And as far as the cab service goes, I've been taking that quite a bit, especially to get groceries and go to the doctor. I'm still having a lot of problems with getting them to answer the phones, which I've already, discussed this with David. So right now, that's all I have.
Jenny, when you did the lift not working, what do you mean the lift broken?
She said it was broken. It
What
must have
do you
been
mean
cracked.
broken?
The metal was cracked?
The top of the ramp was down about 1.5 inches from the floor when they put the ramp out.
Okay.
So it's definitely broken.
Okay, because I thought you meant that they can't get it to come out. But they have a hand where you have to pull up a hand.
Yeah, they have a handle, a tool that they lift it out manually. Unless the chain mechanism on the actual drive unit is broke, we can do them manually. Even though the motor doesn't work, we can still operate the lifts manually, so. But you have a bus number on that one? I'll get with her and we'll get that looked at, so.
Next order of business is HART Plus and Customer Choice Voucher Program update. Greg Bracken.
Well, the service levels have definitely declined on all of our services due to the COVID. But we have been slowly returning. We're averaging about 500 trips a day right now compared to our 800 to 900 pre-COVID. So, so far, since it's the brand new fiscal year for us, the October ridership was 4,443 on the taxi voucher program, and we had a total of 10,739 on our HART Plus system. Just for some comparison, last year for that same October, we had 19,000 on paratransit last year, so it's about a 43% decrease in ridership compared to last year because of the COVID conditions. The yellow cab is about a 38% decrease as well. They were at 7,166 last year. So we continue. We just put in a new markup this weekend. Sunday it went into effect, which will restore the regular routes back into full swing with frequency and everything else. So hopefully that'll help make us more accessible to the regular bus riders, which in hand puts our paratransit out there as well. We still are requiring masks. We're requiring social distancing, the best we can. If someone doesn't come with a mask, I have a supervisor respond and get them a mask, or they can pick it up at the transit center. So our drivers are not policemen. They will not kick anybody off, but they will report it and we will get them a mask. So we're trying to keep our drivers out of combative confrontations, but we also want folks to be compliant. So we're continuing those efforts. We're also continuing with our operators. They are in a shielded area, so they are allowed to take it off when they are driving. But anytime they come out and deal with the public, they're required to put that mask back on. We encourage it all the time, but you try to drive 10 hours through the mask, it's pretty darn difficult. So we are allowing them in the cages, in the protective barriers, to take them down. But once they get into doing wheelchairs, off the bus, anything that has out dealing with the general public, they have to put their mask on. So our supervisors are monitoring that as well and enforcing them to follow.
How are you doing the social distancing when you get two wheelchairs?
I'm sorry?
How are you doing the social distancing When you get too
We have marked off on the buses, the seats that are closed. So they do social distancing on there. But if you're a family member, you're traveling with your wife or your kids, you are allowed to sit, next to each other. But we have all the alternate seats marked on the bus, where you try to get the social
I
distancing.
don't know when you had 2 wheelchairs that was
That's as close as we can get. I mean, that's all we can do. So we encourage the mask, and it says when you can't do social distancing, mask is required. So if you're doing that, I'd suggest you wear a mask at all times. So.
Right.
Yes, Gloria?
A lot of the buses have side seats that face into the middle of the bus rather than up for forward.
Uh-huh.
And most of those, not that I ride that much during COVID, but the times I've been on not HART Plus, but the regular buses, those seats were closed because people were sitting too close. But for me, that might be, somebody who is visually impaired and has to find a seat, that would be helpful to be able to use those seats. Or are you going to allow them to use those front seats?
They do have them tied up right now because of
Yes.
exactly what you said, but I can bring that back. We are still loading the wheelchair positions in that area, but we did put the seats up to prevent that close sitting. So I can check into that for you, Gloria.
Well, I'm not riding that much,
Yeah.
but it just would be easier for me to be closer to the front.
Understood.
And I'm imagine that might be true for other people who are visually impaired.
We'll definitely look into that.
Next item, bus stop update, Dan Rodriguez.
Hi there, Dan Rodriguez, project manager, project management office. I'm covering for Mr. Dwayne Brown. I'll go over the BTI, the Basic Transfer Infrastructure ADA update, which is pretty much what stops we are having the queue and what their statuses are. Next slide, please. Currently, we have 13 projects that are underway. We have 2 in construction right now. 2 are in pre-construction, which is pretty much the contractor is gearing up to start. Most of them will be the 2 will be starting right after the Thanksgiving holiday. We have 2 in awaiting bids that are due probably the first week of December. We have 1 in design and 3 currently in permitting. Next slide, please. 1 in construction right now is over on Lumsden, just east of Providence. It's a stop that kind of took us a while to get this improved. It's in an area of the county that are not hardly any sidewalks close to the road near the bus stop, and they're large drainage structures, so it is very costly to do these stops. We'd like to have done a bus bay here, but because of this large drainage structure, we were unable to. It's about 80% complete. We're waiting on some railings and stuff, and then we'll be putting this stop active. Next slide, please. This one, Ruthie and I were out here quite a few years ago. We won't say how many years it was, but this is Orange Grove at Stoll Road. This is where the buses U-turn to go around the block to go over to Mission Bell. This again is also in a kind of a drainage type area. Real difficult to do. Not a lot of funding in this area. We were finally able to get the funding and get the construction started. So this one will be a bus bay, so the buses will be able to pull off the road and pick up folks. And there should be a shelter pad with the future shelter to be placed there as well. Next slide. The 2 in pre-construction that are ready to start up is the one at Orient Road, just south of the interstate at the fairgrounds. The bus bay is in bad shape. asphalt is deteriorated pretty bad at the stop. The stop could be better ADA access-wise. The shelter sits in the odd spot. So that'll be straightened out. We'll also put a ADA spot across the street, which there isn't really one, and a method to get across safely. The next one we have is at 22nd Street and 28th Avenue in East Tampa there. We have a stop. I've seen folks in wheelchairs trying to get on there. I always encourage them to go a couple of blocks south and get on at the shelter bus bay. But we will be doing that stop shortly. That's one that's going to start right after Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving holiday. That'll be a large 30-foot pad. It'll have a location to put a shelter at a future time. Next slide, please. The ones in design, we have quite a few. We have Tampa at Fortune Street. Matter of fact, I think that one should be coming out of permitting real soon. That's for the Route 1, people coming down Tampa Street, kind of hop off there at Fortune and walk across over to MTC. The next one we have is 22nd at Hillsborough, right adjacent to the Amscot. That stop almost sits on the road. There's no sidewalk there. City did a sidewalk project, but they skipped the one section with the bus stop, so we're going to go ahead and put a bus bay there with a sidewalk and a place to place a shelter. It's a very high ridership stop. It's a long time coming. I'm real glad to see Dwayne able to get this one going. Yukon at 26th Street, that's just over there on near Rolette Park. It's just a stop that just needs to be ADA accessible. State Road at 60 at Strawberry Ridge, out at the end, near the end of Route 46. Pretty much the last stop going eastbound before it goes up into the park and ride and comes back westbound. That'll be a bus bay there on State Road 60 with connectivity to the community there at Strawberry Ridge that requested that stop. So that one should be coming out permitting as well. I think the design just finished recently. Another one we have is at Dale Mabry Highway at Kennedy, right there at the CVS. There was some work done at the intersection. Unfortunately, the sidewalk was not connected to the existing shelter pad that's there. So there is an ADA problem there. The stop is accessible, you can get on and off, but if you're to sit on the bench or anything that's up there that people were used to sitting, there's no connectivity. So we're gonna fix that issue. We have the okay from CVS to do so. Next slide. One that's still in design is Causeway at 301. This is another one of those locations where, you have a stop that's not accessible, but, other than the edge of the road, which to me, I wouldn't want to walk on the edge of Causeway Boulevard with my back to traffic getting off the bus, much less someone with a wheelchair or some kind of, assistance. So that one's in design. We're talking with DOT on that one to try to get that one complete. Next slide. In permitting, a couple of good ones too is Rome at Hillsborough Avenue, similar to the problem at 22nd at Hillsborough. There's no sidewalk, there's no curb. The bus is kind of like on the edge of the asphalt. You don't feel very safe there. So we're going to make sure that that's a safe spot with an elevated curb and sidewalk, connectivity to the corner at Hillsborough, connectivity to the street going down, to the sidewalk going down Rome. Armenia at Hillsborough, that's also another stop, could be better. We're going to move it a little further north and get a shelter pad in that one. 22nd at Henry Street, there is a pad there. It is an accessible stop. We got a request from the property owner adjacent. I believe they're doctor's office or dental. They requested a shelter. They see a lot of people waiting on the bus, and they were nice enough to give us an easement on their property to place the shelter. So that's just a minor improvement there to add a shelter. Next slide. I believe that's it. I'm open for any questions. Hearing none, I think we're good.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Yes.
I'd like everybody to know about our future meeting dates. The next one will be February 18th, 2021. Then May 20th, 2021. Then the last one will be August 19th, 2021.
Before we adjourn, I want to say that I love the what do you call it?
Thomas vehicle?
Yeah,
Yep.
Thomas vehicle, whatever. Very cool,
Okay, thank you.
very cool. But the first time I rode it, I was a bus rider in a wheelchair. It doesn't have a door.
Doesn't have a shoulder, has a seat belt, but not a shoulder strap? Okay, I'll check with them. They have a Q-strength system, just like we have on our buses, and they're supposed to have those belts, but I will check with that.
Well, maybe you know where it was, but it wasn't on. And he was really appreciated that I got on because he didn't know how to do a wheelchair before. So he learned how to, but he had me on backwards the first time. And somebody on the radio, I got watching him do it and told him to turn me around the other way. That's good that you guys are watching him do it, you know, teaching him how to do it. That's good.
Yeah, we're running 2 shifts right now, in the morning. We ended at 10 and we come back in the afternoon and go till 7. But we have another vehicle on the way, probably into next month. So there will be a vehicle running all day long, once we get that second vehicle.
All they're gonna do is go up and down all
Down
day.
the transitway right now, yes, sir. This is a pilot, because we are mixed traffic. We have a railroad crossing on it, and we have regular lights, traffic lights. So it's a good corridor for us to be a test pilot for, and so that's why we're doing it on regular streets. We want to first do it on regular streets.
Yeah, it's good that you can get all the trolley. If you wanna go downtown, you can get all the trolley
Yep.
and walk over and go down there and come back. It took a little more time to load you, but
Yeah, we're starting small to make sure everything's right. And like I said, it's a 1-year pilot, so we're doing some testing with it. They're doing testing of the vehicle as well. Our contractor is Beep, and Dan and I are actually on the project, monitoring of it, making sure that it's doing what it's supposed to be. Like I said, there'll be another vehicle joining the fleet here by the end of next month probably. And so it'll be running 10-minute frequency all day long rather, because we had to take it out of service midday because of the charging. But with the second vehicle, we'll have constant service all day long from.
it's a nice day and a half.
Okay,
It takes you a little more time because you got to get the lift out and put it down my hand.
yep, because they are trying to design a automated wheelchair ramp for that. But right now, that ramp does meet the ADA requirements, and it has the correct slope and everything. But it's just manually, you're correct.
I have one of the homes when I go to visit a friend of mine at my house. It's the same one I had at home.
Okay, good,
It was pretty good.
yep. Yes, Gloria?
Are you speaking of the self-operating, no drivers? Is that what
Yes, ma'am.
we're talking about?
Autonomous vehicle, yes, ma'am.
Are people riding it? Are they
yes.
trusting it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
We had, I believe don't quote me on these numbers, but I think the very first month was 108 riders, and I believe the last month was 178 riders. So people are coming down and riding the service and checking it out.
When you
Great.
will lose 3 seats. 3
Yeah.
seats when you get a wheelchair.
We have it limited capacity right now too for COVID. So the seats are marked, so there is social distancing as much as we can. It's a very small vehicle, but we are limiting the riders through the COVID, and it has 1 wheelchair position as well. And so it's out there every single day and testing it out, so.
The only thing is when it docks, it docks.
If something gets in its way, it does stop. You are correct. It hits the brakes quickly. So yeah, it does its job. I actually went to the testing grounds and we actually walked in front of it on purpose to make it, and like I said, it stops. So,
Good.
thank you, Arizona. I'll let them know that you enjoyed the ride.
Now we're going to do a roundtable discussion, and as I call your name, let us know whether you need to speak up and discuss anything. Gloria?
You would, okay, thank you. I wanted to say that, I don't know if it's just our times, our COVID times, it's like something we've never had since 1918, which I wasn't there for that, but I find that the bus drivers and the HART Plus is, I've never had any problems with this, but I think that they're less as, they're nicer. I don't know if you've had some training, but every time that I have gotten on a regular bus, people help if I need help. Of course, if I say no, they're fine. But I find that a very nice plus, that they're people and I'm a people, and I try to engage at least to say hello. So I'm glad that they're behaving in a much more social way. Thank you. I hope everybody else has found that to be true.
Thank you. I'll pass that on to the director of the bus side and let him know that your observations. And we have had some training. We do quarterly training with our operators and, ADA and, how we service our clients is on the agenda every time that we do training. So, like you said, hopefully our efforts are paying off. Thank you.
David Bean?
Yes, I'd just like to bring everybody up to date with what's going on with us. Today, actually, we just purchased 5 additional wheelchair vans that are being shipped from North Carolina. I hope to have them in service shortly after Thanksgiving. And Sandra, to your point about still not being able to get through to the call center, it's a software issue. We have doubled our staff and put about $200,000 of equipment in the call center. But there's a software issue that they're working on diligently, and I'm not an IT guy, but I even asked today, they said it could be 2 hours or 2 days. But they're working the bugs out of the new software for the system. It's not putting people in queue. It's what it's not doing. So I will have that done as soon as possible.
Thank you. Raquel Poncho?
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to start as I do appreciate everybody's efforts to make sure that the public meeting announcements and all of the route changes were being shared with our community members. I did see all of those announcements for your public meetings coming through the Tampa Mayor's Alliance and Hillsborough County Alliance for Persons with Disabilities notices, so thank you so much. And I also appreciate all of the ADA improvements that you're making with the bus stops as well. So thank you. I did want to bring up the concern that a few community members have shared with me in regards to the audible announcements not being made sometimes when the buses are on detour. And I know that Greg was diligently researching some of the concerns, and I just wanted to have an update about any improvements that have been made, or if we've been able to troubleshoot what's been happening.
Yes, ma'am. We have been diligently, and this has been going on for many years, advising our operators that when they are on detour, our automated system does not work. So they have to manually make those detour announcements, but when they go on route, off route, onto the detour route, and some bearing announcements along that route so our customers are aware where we're at. Then they are to make the announcement when they return back to regular route. We have added that to our, what we call an MDT, which is a mobile data terminal on each of the buses. That announcement is done every time they log into the bus. And then we also have our control center making those announcements of the requirement on a daily basis as well throughout the day. So we are trying our best to get compliance out there. When we get our new radio system, we're looking at the feature where we can actually make announcements when we're on detour. So that would be a extra effort that we're looking for too. But right now, our system does not allow us to, once it deviates off our established route, it does not trigger those announcements. There's little trigger boxes that when the bus hits that area, it tells the system that it has to make the such and such announcement. But when we're on detour, that doesn't happen. So, the ADA requires when the system isn't working that the drivers have to do it manually, and that's just enforcement on our part to make sure that that's being done. So we do have all our forces working on that.
Thank you, Greg.
May I ask a question? I understand that the announcements have to be like on a route where, let's say you go to a main highway like Kennedy Boulevard, it's supposed to say that. Are those recorded
Yes, ma'am.
doing that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that's those trigger points I was saying. So as the bus comes down Kennedy, when it reaches Del Mabry, the system knows I'm at Kennedy and Del Mabry, and it says,
Okay,
approaching Kennedy, Del Mabry, and we can move that trigger point forward or backward to make sure that we're giving you enough notice to be able to ring the bell as we approach those intersections too. So it takes a lot of efforts from our planning department and our IT department to get all those triggers set appropriately. And we take input from customers too. If one's making it too early or too late, let us know. We can make those changes. Okay?
thank you.
Scott Clark.
I'm here.
Would you like to discuss anything, Scott?
No, I'm good. I think everyone's doing a good job. It's good to hear everybody. And I was looking at the route changes. I'm having my staff review them to see what potential impacts there would be for Sunshine Line and to get back with me. And if we identify any, we'll be in contact with Greg or Kemley.
Okey-doke. Carmen LeBeau.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody's time and also appreciate all the improvements. Some of the routes I see the changes will affect some of students that specifically go from West Tampa or Town and Country to Blake High School. I noticed that route that went from MLK west to east and then south to Boulevard is no longer available. So I know that it'll impact several students. But overall, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioner Smith?
Sorry, had a little trouble finding my mute button. I have no comments at this time. I appreciate all the input that I've heard from everybody else here today. Thank you.
Arizona? Anything else?
Doing today, you all did a good job during the hurricane. I got a call from Hotline and the other cab and SPATA. Both sides they letting them know that there'll be no service and it will resume the following day.
Okay.
So very good job on that. With Greg and Dean of the other cab drivers, doing a very good job being on time, picking me up.
Okay.
So when I go to the doctors, so that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Niggas you have a mask on, if it falls out and help me out, you know.
Okay.
So thank you to David for that. Thank you, that's it. All good.
Okay. I didn't catch that last part. That's it?
That's it.
Okay, that's it. Brandon.
Kimberly?
I want to wish Arizona happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Scott has a birthday too.
Oh, Scott, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, and thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome.
I do have one thing to add if we get to that point. Just let me know.
Go ahead.
You can have my time.
All right, so I have to give credit where credit's due. I think HART has done a phenomenal job during this COVID-19 pandemic, providing service, keeping drivers, mitigating issues to keep drivers safe, keeping the public safe, and the dedication to their clients and the citizens they serve. I think they've done a phenomenal job. And they should be commended for that. You know, it's not an easy task. I know because we're here at Sunshine Line dealing with the same business, but they're so much larger, and it's just phenomenal that they were able to do what they have done for the community. So I would like to congratulate them for a job well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. We'll pass that on to our CEO and our directors, and appreciate the comments. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You have anything else, Greg?
Oh, where's the birthday cake?
You know, he's looking for his birthday cake. Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on Arizona's comment. You know, this was a very unpredictable storm. We followed direction of EOC, and, you know, they didn't know which way it was going. So it was a very short notice for us. We don't like to shut down service, but we got directions that the winds were going to reach our max, and so we had to look out for the safety of our drivers and our customers. We're sorry for any inconvenience that you had, but we got back up just as soon as we could the next day, once we were cleared, and good efforts on everybody. The EOC staff kept us very well informed, and you know, we got our employees warned ahead of time where they could make preparations, and then got them out of there in a safe manner, and then got them back to get our service back up. And you know, it's pretty big efforts to start and stop service like that. So our entire staff has been busy for those days beyond what you saw out there on the street, getting things ready for the next day to start service again, and fueled and all that good stuff. So hats off to all the crew.
As a matter of fact, I was at your lady at a dinner party when I got a call from Brandon at Yellow Gas. They were going to take you back home.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me get the food to go.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we just had to reach out to everybody. We didn't want to leave anybody stranded, so we reached out to every one of our paratransit customers and let them know if you had to go, make sure you might have a way back home just in case we got pulled off the road a little early. But things went very well, and our team did a good work. Customer service, Kimley's group, did a lot of time on the phone, so appreciate her efforts as well. So.
Yep. Thank you both.
I want to thank Yellow Cab for the day that the storm happened. That was the day after Veterans Day, November. I was lucky to find one of your drivers, Mr. Rivera, who I was left, I'm not sure whose fault it was, it doesn't matter. I was left by HART Plus. Maybe you tried to send me a message, but I had no ride, and I didn't want to ride the bus with everything. Well, actually, I thought there was a bus, and you all had stopped the buses too. But Mr. Rivera, I called him And he said, I'm in West Tampa. He told me exactly where it was, and he'd come and get me. So I got home that night. So that worked out, and I wanted to let you all know that that happened, that Yellow Cab is good, the second thing that's there.
Thank you all for your comments.
All right, the meeting is adjourned, but we'll see everybody here in person, let's hope, on February 18th, 2021. Happy holidays.
Thank you, everyone.
Enjoy. Bye, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Bye, happy holidays.